Oh, hey, that's why I watched your video on Blind Manor.
That's why you watched my video on Blind Manor, because you didn't want to watch Blind Manor?
Well, because you're my friend and you made a video.
I
love
Blind Manor so much. Is there any other projects that like maybe is that you're most happy with from last year, or is like one you're just really proud of?
You had to remind me.
Me? I don't know. I'm happy with all my videos, but I also have so many tech problems. Like, I don't think I'm very adept at, and not as adept at editing as I'd like to be, and like don't really have all the technology I could have. So a lot of them I'm kind of cringing at because like the audio is a little weird.
Okay, your thumbnail game is on point.
But I was pretty happy with my Shakespeare video, I think. I'm just trying to kind of move away from just general film analysis and trying to go more into like pop culture-y type things, so that's kind of a hard transition. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so Michael, you want to go
same
next?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the most recent Lessons from Screenplay video was about Pixar's Soul, and just kind of talking about like the fundamentals of character design and basically what a character wants versus what a character needs, and the role that that plays in story structure, and using Soul as an example because it's very much on the surface. For anyone that's seen the movie, it's very clear that the protagonist has a desire and he's trying to pursue that desire, but the thing he actually needs is this other thing, and they spell it out very clearly. So just kind of like semi-recapping the movie and tracking the character arc to show the usefulness of knowing and using your character's wants and needs when designing a story.
Oh yeah.
I love how much of a clear line your channel has. Like, you have such a clear direction. How you approach everything.
It's funny because I've used a lot of videos for like tabletop RPG DMing.
Nice. I love it
because it's so helpful for like just examining like how you expose to things. Because a lot of times like when I'm planning things out, I don't plan a story. I plan a space for people to interact, and I need to then like build a story off of what those interactions are, because otherwise, like, I don't know, I just am too disorganized to have that level of like detail of like have a story planned out, and B, I really like my players kind of improvising and letting things go places, so I try to write characters that facilitate story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
that's awesome.
I just think that your channel has been one of the ones that, like, that was one of the first, like, video essays I remember watching was Lessons from the Screenplay. And honestly, I've taken screenplay classes. I feel like I've learned more watching some of your videos than I have in those classes.
Aww. Thank you. That's awesome to hear. It's always nice to hear that people appreciate the work. And it's weird how long the channel's been going now. I feel
4 years,
old.
right?
Yeah, I think so. 2016. So this will be 5 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's really cool. I have wanted to do videos about like tabletop storytelling, and like how at one point I almost was able to interview Matt Mercer to talk about like what it's like to be a DM and create stories, because I play D&D and I've done a little bit of DMing, and it is really hard, but it's this really cool way of like connecting to the story and all that stuff. So
if you want to be connected with someone who's really cool in the TTRPG space, I could message Orion, who they edit for Dimension 20, and they also write a bunch of stuff for tabletop role-playing games. They're absolutely amazing, just a wonderful non-binary creator. And
cool.
Is there a video recently, Michael, that you've done that you were really proud of?
I mean, I was pretty happy with how the Soul one came out. I guess last year we did an episode on the Christopher Nolan crosscut, where we looked at
I loved that video.
Interstellar and The Dark Knight and Inception, and it was kind of born out of frustration that the team and I had with this one part of Interstellar that has been driving me crazy since I watched it. So
the movie makes me insane.
And so it was a cathartic expression of the frustration that I felt, but was also challenging to try to not make it just like we were bashing on the movie the whole time. So ultimately, I hope we kind of threaded that needle. And it was fun.
It's really good. I definitely referred to that
like
one when I was thinking about the definition of cross-cutting, because I ended up cutting it, but I had a bit about cross-cutting that I was going to do in the Sensei video. Also, this world has an unfortunate name. It's called Kingdom of Corona.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That was named like 12 years ago or whatever. I was gonna say maybe after Sage's gone, Michael, have you had a chance to see Tenet? I'd be curious what your thoughts on that film are.
I think Michael's gonna is Sage is around longer.
It sure is a pretty
okay.
day.
Yeah, but if Sage wants to go, I'm happy to hang around.
No, let's talk about Tenet.
Yeah,
No, both of you. I'm like, everybody stay as long as you can.
You hasn't seen Tenet?
I haven't either, but I don't
I
care.
haven't seen Tenet.
I'm in Canada, where I was. The cases stayed around 200 for like a really long period of time, but then the government wouldn't listen to researchers, including myself, on why they needed to change things with the regulations, and now we're in about the same situation as a lot of American states are. Fun times.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm also in
Things
Canada.
are bad when you have to be like an American. God.
Right. No one wants
Well, no, it's frustrating because it didn't need to get this bad, and we were getting lucky. It wasn't that they were doing things right. It was literally just luck. And I don't have the brain space to go through all of the data.
No,
stuff,
let's have fun right now. But anyway, you saw Tenet in a theater.
I was able to see Tenet in a theater. There were 6 people in the theater. Two couples, and then my brother and myself were there, and we had like massive space between each other. It was great, and it was a really good experience in the theater.
As soon as you mention them, they show
So
up.
that audio
There goes our
editing
picnic.
in a couple scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's send these guys.
Michael, out of curiosity, what did you think of? I know I have not seen Sold yet, but when I first saw the trailer, I had my first thought was one that I think a lot of people had, where they were like, "Oh, another movie where Disney doesn't let their black person stay a human the whole movie. Cool." Was that actually how it ended up being, or what do you think of that?
So I didn't see the trailer, and like honestly hadn't like consciously clocked that after the movie came out. I was following that discussion and definitely, in retrospect, it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely a thing. And watching the movie, I really enjoyed the beginning because again, I went in basically completely cold. And the movie starts off where you're watching Joe, you're watching him as a black man, he's the normal protagonist, and I was like, oh, this is cool, like, there's a black protagonist in this Pixar movie. And then the movie switches quickly because it goes into the soul world, and I don't like spoil things, but there was a little bit of disappointment that I felt when that happened, of like, oh, okay, well, we got that for a couple minutes, and now we're gonna watch cartoon people. But ultimately, the film does go back and visit Joe and his world, and so while I don't think it's like perfect, I think overall their approach to it, and as I was researching it, the work that they tried to do to capture lots of different facets of like the black experience in America and all that stuff, I feel like it was the best intentions were there, and I feel like they overall navigated it pretty well, and I was pretty happy with it. But I also understand people that have frustrations with that it, again, is a body switch movie, and actually the protagonist is stuck in the body of a cat for a lot of the time. But I feel like despite that, I think they ultimately navigated it in a way that I thought was cool. And I really like the message overall of it, and that they were able to have it take place in a world that you haven't seen in a Disney movie or a Pixar movie before.
Why not?
I remember.
Oh, before we go deeper on this, I do want to give Sage some time to talk about their channel. No, it's okay. Sage, can you talk about what your most recent video was?
So my last video was I did a dive into the extended Limitless franchise.
I've been loving those.
Oh my god.
That franchise is bonkers.
Are you okay?
It was something.
Take a pill to be able to take it.
You do need to take something in order to handle that much Limitless.
You had to use all of the brain power.
There's definitely a limit.
William, where are you?
So many puns here.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just I kind of looked at the way the different parts of the franchise kind of disagree with one another, because they're all made by mostly different people. There's 2 books by the original author, but then there's a movie and a TV series by completely different creative groups. So there's a lot of interesting contradictions, and that was the video.
Cool. And has there been a video recently that you were like really, really proud of? You want to talk about?
Yeah, probably my Mulan video.
I love that
came
video.
out-
I made me cry. It's so good.
Thank you. So I just it was an analysis comparing the two Disney Mulan films, and why the new one doesn't work so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my friend Alex, who like his family's from China. I'm only bringing it up 'cause it's actually relevant. So he's just like, he found it really fucking annoyed him because it was just like Mulan was one of his favorite films as a kid, and just the way it completely disrespects a lot of the
Look at that.
culture,
A tower.
with its misunderstandings in the new
Let's
one
check it out.
versus
Yeah.
the original. It's just sad and kind of disappointing to see them do that, because it's like you already have a good film there. Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to change it.
I think there.
Well,
like,
it's also
I
an
don't-
interesting.
I don't hate adaptation in and of itself. I think it's actually interesting to see how you can tell the same story in different ways. Like if you look
My
at
favorite films are adaptations.
Well, you look at Greek myth, right? Like some of the most interesting things that have been made have just been functionally translations of that, but like to extreme degrees, right? Like or like the really weird ones that like really take it out there. The one that's the Coen Brothers film, Oh Brother, We're Out There, which is an adaptation of the Odyssey. Which a lot of people don't realize, like it's adapting the Odyssey, and it is telling the same story, but it comes out as a completely new and interesting thing. Hades Town is a complete recontextualization of Orpheus, and I think I would like to see, if Disney's going to do stuff like this, actually do something interesting with it. Like, throw out the rules and make something new.
Where do you think they failed, like, to not because Mulan's so mythologized, yet somehow it felt so, like, tedious the way that they did it.
I think there's like a weird contradiction with that adaptation where they were trying to make Mulan, like, cater the film to a Chinese audience with a lot of the decisions that they're making there. So, like, you know, like one of the points I was talking about in the video is just, you know, Mulan, everyone bows to Mulan at the end of the animated film, and it's like one of the best moments of that movie. And you have the complete opposite version in the new movie where it's Mulan bows to the emperor at the end, and you know, that very much fits in with the ethos of, like, you know, reverence for the state. You know, there's a lot of little decisions like that with that they're you know, changing the story to cater to that audience, which, you know, that's not like an inherently bad thing to do, right? That's fine. But it's you know,
totally
the
dissonant.
yeah, it's totally dissonant, especially to Western audiences who watched this version, the animated version, which was definitely a product for Western audiences. You know, the entire idea of, like,
isn't such a good idea
very much
after
about the individual overcoming systems.
I hope someone in chat can remember. There was a piece by, I believe, a Chinese-American video essayist about...
I'm subscribed to her.
I'm so bad with names. I can't remember names to save my life, but...
Hang on. I'm gonna look at my subscription.
She went through, like, all the
wouldn't mind
cultural...
sharing that video, because, like, she goes into a lot of the specific details of, like, things that they get completely incorrect about the myths of China and the culture of that time period, and it's...
I might be messing up her name, but it's Xiran J. Zhao, I believe is her name. Sorry if I fucked it up.
There's link.
It's
Yeah,
the like
that's it.
everything culturally wrong or right with Mulan
Yeah,
videos.
with
Yeah.
Mulan. Yeah, I just put a link to her channel. She's doing a series right now on Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is interesting. But yeah, that was, I think, like her first video, and it's really good.
But I bring it up because I think Michael is right in that they did certain things to try to play to a Chinese audience, and yet at the same time they did a bunch of things that came from a specifically Western view, and so they ended up playing to neither audience.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Sage is right. Sage knows all about this. I don't know anything about this.
Oh, sorry, Sage.
Thank you. Someone who wasn't Disney.
I don't mind being confused for Michael.
I am
Those people sound the same.
I'm bad with voices.
Oh no.
But I just respect both of you. So there. That's I think it is really important to acknowledge that like by trying to pander to both audiences in certain ways, it manages to mess up doing either. Because it does both of them in manners that aren't actually what either audience would be interested in. So rather
What's
than
also strange is like how they'll parrot certain story beats from the original, but they'll like do it in such a way that kind of undermines what worked about that story beat. I don't know. There's some moments where I was like, okay, I'm not mad that you did a thing different, but it is weird that you chose to do it like this.
It's like Uncanny Valley, kind of. Like you're looking at what you used to, like a nostalgic thing, but then it's just not not the same.
It's very strange.
Kingdom's the other way, guys.
Well, it's that thing where, like, if you try to make something for everybody, you end up making it for nobody. And I feel like all of the Disney remakes kind of have that problem.
I will stand for Maleficent, and I think the 2015 Cinderella is all right.
I think
Maleficent had a very
mediocre.
I want to point
I
something out.
love 2015 Cinderella.
Maleficent is an actual instance of trying to say something new while telling an old story again.
Yes, which is why I hold it up as being good.
And it benefits it, but it also doesn't do it in a manner that disrespects the original story. Whereas I would say the new Mulan very, very much is a...
I can't believe how wonderful this is.
It's not a good representation of the original story, nor does it do anything new that's interesting or, isn't harmful in some way as a representation.
Have you guys seen any of the non-Disney Mulans? Like, I haven't watched any, but I feel like...
No, because they're kind of hard to get a hold of with subtitles.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I think I found the Chinese-made Mulan movie, but I didn't find it with subtitles.
It's cold.
Yeah, I haven't.
But I should look again, honestly.
I want to look into it. I haven't really tried.
It would have been good research for me to do for that video, but I kind of felt like I didn't want to.
I mean,
I
that would
only
have been a
wanted to focus on
longer
the Disney
video,
stuff.
I think, if you started to unpack all of the Mulan movies that have been made.
Yeah, you can't cover everything.
That's why 90-minute videos exist.
I think a lot of times finding where that line of like where to stop covering things is hard in any
so
topic.
difficult.
Research, writing, whatever it is, like where you keep it focused enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember people being like, that was quite a tangent you went on in the Doctor Who video when I talked about art versus the artist for like 10, 15 minutes. I was like, it's relevant, I swear!
It was relevant.
I don't know, I just remember my mom being like, you went on for a while. And now I'm...
Yeah, but that's like theory, though, right? That's like the backbone of what you're talking
Well,
about.
and it was because I wanted to talk about auteur theory versus the sort of author is dead stuff, but then there was this whole discussion happening about separating art from the artist, which mostly happened around the Me Too movement, which was why I talked about the Me Too movement. But so it was a little rabbit hole I had to go down to just explain my stance on separating art from the artist, which is mostly user's choice.
Honestly, it's your video. You put whatever you need to into it.
Yeah. I know, but I definitely do have some preoccupations about having good flow. And also, it's really weird when your parents watch your stuff. My parents see my comments section. I feel like that's a thing that people should think about, is my parents
my mom used to reply to me on Twitter.
It
was the worst.
My mom is a mod in the comments section, and so she will flag and remove comments if she feels they are not appropriate.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Your mom's awesome. Yeah, that's so I just finished my coming out video. So I've been out online for a really long time, but I just haven't been out in these spaces. I've been out to my parents for 6 months as non-binary, and so like when I was making the video, one of the only 2 people I showed the script to that weren't like other trans creators was my mom. The other person being Lady Knight, who helped me a lot. Seriously. Yay. The video would not be what it is without you. And but I just love because I knew my dad it'd be better just to show him the end product to get way more out of that. Whereas like my mom would like really appreciate being a part of the process, and I knew she'd have something to submit. But my dad's response to it is just the most him thing ever. It's just he watched the video and then just goes, "That was neat." and if anyone else was like, "Oh, you've bared your soul to me," and I'm just gonna respond with "That was neat," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of." It's my dad, and my dad's reaction to some of his favorite movies is, "That was neat. You know, it's a neat film." Like he's very nonplussed about it, and it's great. I love it. Because he's just he just like, even if he doesn't understand something, he'll just accept you and try to learn.
Wholesome parents.
He's a good boy.
Wholesome parent content.
My dad sees the good in every movie. Like he loves action movies, and he sees like he'll find a little thing, even if it's like the strangest, nichest one. He just finds like something good about it, and I love that. But I'm so hypercritical.
Yeah, my dad
confused by some of my coverage because I cover a lot of foreign language movies, and he won't watch something if it's too British. So subtitles is way beyond him. He legitimately response to Harry Potter was, "This is weird and they're British. I don't want to watch them."
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Because we were touching on a little bit of
ahead of his time.
The author. So I just helped with the. I was the voice actor for it. Because I do a lot of voices and things for a bit.
It was for Crit Facts, right?
Yeah, for Crit Facts with a ton of other.
Great video on JK.
We did we kept it as short as we could. It was still an hour and 15-minute video on all of the TERF rhetoric in the letter that she has, which, oh boy, that thing is a aggressively hateful piece of writing.
I had to pause several times while you were reading it. It was very
unpleasant. But I think we did a really good job of dismantling all that. But to me, it's like, I don't think you can separate JK from her books because so much of her views are in those books, and it's like, and I say this as someone who like Harry Potter was a special interest when I was a kid, and I love those books a lot. But like, they got a lot of racism in them. They got a lot of weird liberal stuff going on. I mean, Harry ends the books by becoming a cop who like, there's a lot going on. I mean, Gringotts Banks has a fucking Star of David in the middle of the floor, and all of the bankers are goblins. Not subtle, JK, through anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I was an adult. I was a big girl when I realized, oh, all the bankers are goblins. Oh no.
He's also being anti-Semitic, like, outside of the book, so just
it's not.
Well, and actually what's funny is because it's a mix of things. What people interpret as anti-Semitic, so like, for instance, she had like donated to some like pro-Israel causes, so some people would say she's actually very pro-Jewish people, but then she did other stuff. Again, it's and I wasn't paying very close attention to that at the time, so like, I would hear this stuff secondhand from like a person at Shull and just go like, okay. So yeah, it wasn't until later that I learned things.
Yeah, well, I think most of us, because we weren't looking for it, because she hadn't said a lot of this stuff in public yet, right? It wasn't really noticeable. But once you realize it and you go back and look at the books, it's so blatant.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was someone pointed out that she made her one Irish character named Seamus Finnegan, and he blows stuff up all the time.
Oh yeah, like.
There's one Jewish character in Harry Potter.
Do you want to hear my? Do you want to hear my Anthony Goldstein? Because I got hot. Okay, so like the Anthony Goldstein thing happened. You need to. So like I have a friend who even before we knew that J.K. Rowling was bad, but like the whole like Dumbledore being gay, never on the page, like when those announcements started happening and also me and my best friend thought the 7th book was really bad. So just we used to joke that we were going to be talking about J.K. Rowling in rocking chairs when we were 70 because we would there was a few years where just every time we would talk, it would somehow devolve into us bitching about our problems with the Harry Potter franchise. And so the Anthony Goldstein, Ravenclaw. First off, who the fuck is he? We never meet him on the page. Also, Goldstein. Also, there's one, but the entire school celebrates Christmas. And then Fantastic Beasts happen, and apparently one Jew in Hogwarts in England in the 90s is related to 2 American Jewish wizards in the 20s because you know what Jews really wanted to do after the Holocaust was move to England. Like move to anywhere in Europe.
Yeah, especially, with Churchill there, like absolutely very welcoming person. I'm definitely not being sarcastic whatsoever.
It was just so like we were just and then like having 2 Jewish characters on screen. Their Jewishness is never mentioned. We only learn that they're Jewish because their last name is Goldstein and J.K. Rowling said so. Like honestly, the easiest shorthand you could do would be to put a mug and dove and necklace on a character. That's all you need. You don't need a fucking cabinet of menorahs. That's a thing that happened on a TV show I've watched. I'm not making that up. But like just put a mug and dove and necklace, put a yarmulke on them if they're a man. Like, just, it's so easy. There are such easy visual signifiers to just be like, this character Jewish, and have it be part of the text, and not just like, because the author said.
Her whole thing is she forgets to do the diversity in the text, and then proactively claim that she was diverse the whole time, because a video game adaptation of her book put a Jewish character in a story that she didn't put him in.
Wait, is Anthony Goldstein in one of the video games?
I think so, yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm pretty sure it's the Chamber of Secrets video game, and when someone asks her, are there Jewish people in Hogwarts?
I am going to eat this microphone. What the fuck?
Yeah, so, like, that's a point where it's like, it's very hard that you can really separate the art from the artist, because so much of the artist's views are heavily interlinked with the statements of the art in really hard to ignore ways.
Yeah, like it's not enough to just say after the fact. Like if I wrote a book and I just said after the fact that this character is Muslim, this character is black, this character is gay, and this one is trans, and I said all of this stuff, but none of that is specifically mentioned in the text, that means nothing. That feels like nothing for representation. That is not... Yeah, Dumbledore was gay all along, except for in 7 books and 2 movies he's been in. Well, I guess 9
8
movies?
8
I was thinking Fantastic Beasts as well.
Oh, fuck, 9.
Yeah, I'm like...
No, because he's referenced in Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, so I think it's like 10 movies.
Of those, he's gay, I think, or is he actually?
No, there's subtext. There's no text.
Yeah.
In the second one.
Yeah, in the second one, they hold hands meaningfully. I think.
For the text.
Like she said that it was going to be canon, and like no man kisses another man. But I think their fingers intertwined meaningfully once. In a flashback.
Let's also remember that his boyfriend is like
the villain and
Hitler, basically.
Yeah.
Like that's how she writes.
which is confusing because Wizard Hitler already exists and his name is Voldemort. So it's really confusing that there's another Wizard Hitler. Fantastic Beasts is also a really good example of why you can't just write like a fascism allegory thoughtlessly, because like you have a Jewish witch who joins the wizard Nazis, but then there's like a scene where she brings her muggle boyfriend to a wizard Nazi rally, and it really does read like when a Jewish person had like a significant other who did join the Nazi party, but she's Jewish. She's Jewish! She's the one doing this! This is why you can't just throw fascism allegory around. You need to think about it with your whole brain.
That reminds me of
This is
that,
actually exactly what my what the video I'm working on now is on Attack on Titan. It is exactly.
Let's go!
Like, doesn't it have a bunch of weird anti-Semitic stuff in the manga? I don't know about the. I think the show has changed.
I just know that people say it's anti-Semitic, and I don't know why.
I'm pretty sure
There's some
weird.
In a later season, it's depicting one of the races, like the race.
I know that the people get big.
Yes. They can literally turn into monsters, and then also in a later on we learn that a bunch of them are living. It's like Nazi internment camps that they're living under. So it's like a direct one-to-one comparison to Jewish people. The people who can turn into the monsters, those are the ones that are in the internment camps with like armbands on their arms.
I hate it!
And also the Nazi country is secretly controlled by one of the Jewish characters, quote unquote.
One of the monster people?
No, the Nazi government in this world that has the internment camps is secretly controlled by a person who is the same race as the people who are in the internment camps. So you got the Jews control the world conspiracy in there too. So it's quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
It's just.
This is me just spoiling my next video.
God damn.
But I mean, you didn't have to tell everybody.
But now everybody has to go watch Sage's video about why Attack on Titan is problematic, so you can get this in depth with research and shit.
Yeah, instead of a bunch of goofuses on a stream being like, yeah, there's stuff. There's stuff.
Instead of me just screaming incoherently, you know.
I mean, like, the uncomfortableness of it, I'm just like... It reminds me of, like, how I felt when I was editing my last video essay, where I was doing a video on Danish Girl, and I'm just watching Eddie Redmayne parade around, and I'm just like, for several months, I'm just like, I do not like this. I do not like this. I wish I could stop editing this. This is not fun.
That was me when I had to look at clips from the Book Thief movie. Because the Book Thief movie, I mean, like, there's a lot of text jokes that I think should make it clear how I felt about the Book Thief movie adaptation. It's very bad. It's extremely bad. And it's, like, comically bad at points. I love the Engie Nazi that I sent you guys. I love him. He's so Engie. It's very funny. He gets right up in the camera and he's making a face that I can only describe as Engie. It's hilarious. But like, it's such a bad. I don't know why anybody would decide let's make a child-friendly, like the Disneyest Holocaust movie, but that's what the people who made the Book Thief movie decided to do.
And the book's not that. The book is.
No, it's not.
Which is weird. Yeah, the one for me that was just like making something that was just really unpleasant to go through was recording that J.K. Rowling video, because I had to. So I'm playing the Cryptic character because we put different people play the character in every single video, and it's written by a bunch of different.
Something I learned recently.
Yeah. So but to know what the hell we were talking about, I had to read each paragraph for the response, and like, it's just a hate manifesto. concealed in polite words, which almost makes it worse. Like,
a thing I thought was really interesting was Sarah Zed was, I think, one of the first people who like released a video about that letter. And the thing I thought was really interesting was she said something about how like it's really easy to just say things that are wrong and hateful. You have to take a lot longer to unpack those things and explain why they're wrong. So you can read the letter in 10 minutes and it takes like 2 hours to explain why it's bad.
It took us an hour and 15 minutes to explain why it's bad, and it took weeks of writing to go through all of it and like fully dismantle each aspect, because like the number of different dog whistles she puts in that are documented dog whistles. Like, these aren't like little slights. They're like very, very clear, purposeful decisions. The way she uses manipulative language, the way she touches on like using her own trauma as a weapon. Like,
hey, your name is Wild Fecal Frisbee, but thank you for your donation.
I love that.
It's and that's the thing, is that like I think because I've had to deal with this a fair number of times where I've like pointed out when something was ableist or transphobic or whatever, and people have tried to use my tone in getting annoyed as like, well, it's fine that the person was, you know,
you weren't polite enough, therefore you're wrong.
They can call you the R slur. It's okay. Like, it's like, no, it's not. That's not how that works. But it's the problem of like, oh, if you're polite with your bigotry, it's fine.
Well, she hides behind that guise of like fact and reason. Like, I'm just owning everyone with my facts, but it's so dangerous. Yeah.
Well, she doesn't provide any sources or any actual factual evidence. If people want a breakdown of the video that is less about the rhetoric and more about like the misattribution of facts, there's a really phenomenal piece by Jamie Rains. His YouTube channel is Jammy Dodger.
You want to post the link to that in the chat?
I'll go find the actual video. It's also about an hour and 15 minutes, because that's how long it takes to go through her bullshit.
It just takes a long time to unpack a wordy letter that's full of wrong things.
So full. But yeah, he has a PhD, specifically is focused on research around trans issues. Fucking amazing, amazing guy, amazing trans man. And most of his YouTube channel is actually just like really sweet, wholesome content. And it's just when people put out really, really factually damaging things that are completely incorrect about trans people, he will do a deep dive dissection of it with full research behind it. And it's a good one. I would say that our piece almost complements it, because it touches on the other aspect of it, which is like rhetoric and how hate groups function and talk and why they connect their language in a specific way.
For a quick thing, I might have to pop out for like 10-15 minutes. I need my headphones to charge. They are currently
That's
dying.
fine. Go forth. We will hold down the fort.
Okay. Just in time to pick up the slack. Woo!
Woo woo!
I'm also gonna have to leave in a couple.
I love all of you. You're all fantastic, and I love all your work.
Love you.
Seeing you.
It's
Joke's
fantastic.
on you, Emily. I don't have any work.
Yeah, you do. Have you seen your bread earrings?
I was gonna say,
Nobody else
I have a
has.
YouTube channel, but I'm not sure if you could really call it work anyway. But
Neela has a really nice Etsy, everybody. It's so good. You should all go buy her things.
You're gonna make me cry because I had the launch of my new line last night and no one turned up.
No! Her stuff is so pretty. She does these like
Make it
resin
sell out,
things
folks.
and
Make it
like
sell out.
Emily, go charge your headphones. Get.
Link it. I'd love to check it out.
So, Michael, is there anything you want to talk about before you head out?
Oh yeah.
No, no, nothing particularly.
What's a fun
yeah.
thing you've watched in the last little while?
What's a fun video I've watched?
Video or movie or something that you enjoyed? And
Yeah, what's a fun thing you've watched recently?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe because I'm looking at Disney things right now, but on Disney Plus, there's this documentary series on Imagineering and the Imagineers, and it's like, you know, it's definitely Disney propaganda, as you would expect, but it's also surprisingly revealing about, the work that the Imagineers do, and kind of gets into creativity versus commerce in a way that I was not expecting them to be brave enough to go into. And so it was a like 5-part or 6-part documentary series on Disney Plus about the Imagineers and how they designed the rides and how it changed over time. And it was ultimately really cool if you can get past the part of like, Disney should have.
I've watched
all of your
loads
money
of
and
Disney
should have
propaganda. It's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm actually immune to propaganda.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Michael, and for helping to raise awareness for the stream and just hanging out and talking to us and watching me play a video game that makes no sense to you. I appreciate it very much.
It has been my pleasure. I feel like I've stopped trying to make sense of what I'm seeing, and I'm just kind of letting
good idea.
it wash over me, and it's I've been kind of transfixed. So thank you for this.
Coming on. Really, really, really appreciate it. So
Cool.
Yeah, my pleasure. Godspeed with everything, and I'll check in later maybe and see how things are going.
Cool. All right, we'll see you around.
this was everybody.
Bye. It was really good to meet you.
Bye.
I love your
Take care.
Time.
Thank you.
Hop in and back you back in. So.
Okay.
I was also gonna say I have to head out in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so nice chatting with you guys.
Do you want to tell us before you go then about anything fun you've watched recently?
Me? I've been binge watching Pen 15. It's like this. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's honestly, I really love it. It's become one of my favorite shows. But it's basically.
Do you want to
just
explain the
like,
premise?
Yeah, basically just these two comedians. They've like one of them was in Man Speaking Woman, Maya Erskine, and then the other is Anna Konkle. And basically, they went to university together, and they just wanted to make a show about like a nuanced show about the female, like just like growing up as a girl in middle school, basically. And it's really interesting because they're like playing middle schoolers but acting around actual middle schoolers, so it's like a really tricky line to thread, but I think they do it really well, and it's just really funny. I recommend checking it out if anyone wants to.
Awesome.
Amazing premise of a while, right?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's like a lot of willingness. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief, but it's funny.
All right, cool. Well, do you need to head out, or do you got a few more minutes?
A couple minutes. I
Okay.
could stay for a couple minutes.
So I'm sorry. What was that? What was the show called?
Pen 15.
Pen 15. Oh, penis. Okay.
Yeah. That's the key.
A good name for a show about middle schoolers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Fecal Frisbee, for another $40. Your nickname is very good. I'm a child.
Let's not forget that we've spent 3 days laughing at our joke about the greatest Italian director of all time, Ringo Bingo.
Ringo Bingo, the greatest Italian filmmaker. He revolutionized the Antarctic film industry. His experimentation with color in his black and white films was incredible.
Okay, I need to know. I need to get in on the end joke. What is Ringo Bingo?
He died as he lived, hang gliding while screaming "Fuck you, Y2K." It was 2008, so no one understood what he was meant. But
and that's as reported by famed film historian Buca de Beppo.
Okay, so I should explain.
He's a made-up director that we're just memeing about and
on
mythologizing.
Thursday, late night, Emily and I at 3 in the morning, because we all talk with each other way too late in the night a lot. We're joking around. I was explaining what Emily was talking about a bunch of Italian directors that she has to watch for something that she's working on. And she's just saying these names, and I was trying to think of like a fake one that would be funny, and instead of thinking of like an Italian name, my brain just went Ringo Bingo. That's funny.
And then I just started like screaming like Oscar winner Ringo Bingo, Steven Spielberg eat my ass, Ringo Bingo till I die. Like just that energy.
And then we started all tweeting about like how like if you don't know Ringo Bingo, you don't know film.
And then we just started making up like, okay, he had a red period. He has a brother named Luigi Bingo. They had a feud. His most famous movie is Mamma Mia Pizzeria.
A lover named Boopity Bappo, not mistaken with film
historian Buca de Beppo.
So he's the most interesting man in Italy.
Yeah. And then we realized we could like make a really funny video out of getting video essayists to do short bits that like are as if they're like talking about like how much.
We definitely want to have one person at the very end of the video be like, "Who the fuck is Ringo Bingo?"
Oh, this would be an excellent like April Fool's Day simultaneous post. Look at those channels.
You know what so what I want to do is make it like it's like some sort of like longer form documentary and make it kind of about like people's weird obsession with gatekeeping art to like, oh, if you don't know this thing, you're not a film person if you don't watch.
You're not a true fan if you haven't watched this film by Woody Allen.
You don't. You can't talk about music unless you've listened to Captain Beefheart, and it's like, I mean,
is that
the
real?
Things that first-year film students say to each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's that sort of like, I'm superior to you because I engaged with X media, and it's just like, it's such a shitty attitude to have about art and media and how you engage with it. And it also has this sort of weird like elitism of like, oh, you haven't had access to this art, well then like you're lesser, which. Yeah. And I wanted to unpack that by just going fully parody and like acting like everybody on film YouTube is that way about Ringo Bingo.
I love this joke.
But the best part would be to get people to do it like in their style. So I would just be sitting there like, oh, the humanity. Let me quote a poem about my favorite artist, Ringo Bingo.
Well, we need to document like cataloging all of Ringo Bingo's accomplishments. Right.
Well, we do have a Ringo Bingo lore channel on Aeronarch's Discord.
There you go. That's what you need. Yeah.
We have pictures of Ringo Bingo. Sage, you can check on my Twitter. I have tweeted out a picture of Ringo Bingo.
Was Ringo Bingo?
Oh, I did see that before I came on the chat.
For donation. Someone donated $212 to see the photo of Ringo Bingo.
And it's just screen caps of Jason Alexander from the 90s Cinderella with a black and white filter on it and some noise.
I was gonna ask you. That's
okay, but this is actually amazing because it has the potential to reveal those people who like act like they're an expert on a subject because they saw one video essay about it. So there's gonna be a lot of people who are like Ringo Bingo and think it's real.
Yeah, and
master of the crosscut.
Well, he innovated the Antarctican film scene. His use of cold weather filmmaking was really, really, beyond his time. And
his use of the white Antarctic landscape to tell stories purely in silhouette.
I gotta write that down. Oh my god.
Alright guys, I'm gonna have it, but
in cameoing in the most ridiculous.
Bye, Broey.
Oh, bye, Broey. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm gonna pop in and see what's going on the stream in a bit. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. Good luck with everything. Nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
And the fact that all of us are terrible at naming is really added to it.
Yeah, like, I just insisted on, like, Buca de Beppo because I just think it's funny to name it. I think I've always thought that was a funny name for an Italian restaurant. And also, it just reminds me of this bit that Craig Ferguson had about, like, a pope whose name is Peppo. And he just, like...
being incapable of understanding what Lady Knight was trying to say in between all her laughter.
Yeah. So Bupati Boppo came from Aronok not being able to understand what I was saying.
You're like, and I'm like, okay. I don't understand.
Yep. That's how it roll. Oh my goodness gracious.
Got any?
What was that?
Harker just got here in the middle of fucking.
Oh.
Also, Harker needs to be modded in the Twitch stream.
Oh, I thought I'd added them. Hang on.
Just copy paste their name and do the /mod, and then you should be good. There we go. Okay.
Yes, the esteemed filmmaker Ringo Bingo. Harker, I'm glad you're on our level.
The most important filmmaker in
the most important filmmaker.
And you know, I think his love of hang gliding.
What
really
was Man Carter Hook Hand in Italian? What was it again?
It's the only film that in the list of his films actually translated, and it's Man Mano Guncio Porta Auto. Also, Luigi Bingo, Ringo Bingo's brother, who he had a feud with. His most famous film is Sunset Sunrise and a Blue Sundown.
Fucking shit!
Perfectly fucking pretentious bullshit name.
But why
I love
is
all of
nobody
this.
talking about Ringo Bingo's revolutionary work with film canisters that will protect film in freezing temperatures? Like, he was the first one to develop film in Antarctic weather. Like, that's amazing. Science happens now because of Ringo Bingo, and nobody talks about it.
Sage, are you having fun?
I'm having so much fun. I'm taking notes actually. On,
Oh, God bless.
the Ringo Bingo mythology. Yeah,
It's good. Apparently, somebody has made a wiki page.
He started making a wiki page.
Yeah, Kenzie Lutece, I think, started a wiki for Ringo Bingo.
Well, yeah, no, we're gonna go deep dive it. The best part's gonna be me when we have to add some things to the Wikipedia page that are wrong, and then like get angry about it in the documentary movie.
Oh, that they didn't cite their sources.
They didn't cite their sources. I mean, did this?
Meanwhile, what are the sources going to be? We can't. I'm not gonna publish a fake journal for my Ringo Bingo facts.
This is why I'll have my interview with Boopity Bappo.
That's right.
I'll also have Boopity Bappo on film, and it's just gonna be me with a fucking beret, and like, Emily came up with this. You know those like candy sticks that look kind of like a cigarette? So she's just gonna pretend like it's a cigarette the entire time, and at the very end just start eating it.
Oh my god. We are chaos incarnate.
So we went around the circle saying what videos we were all proudest of.
Yeah.
But we didn't get yours.
Me?
Yeah, Lady Night.
Oh, I feel like it's obvious. The JoJo video. That's like the best shit I'll ever do.
I mean, it was really good, but I think you can top it.
I don't think I can, because it's not like I'm gonna dig into that well again. I'm like, I had a very specific beef that's I've had for many years now about how Jews are portrayed in Holocaust films. And the amount of research I had to do for it was really depressing, although I did discover my favorite, my new favorite actor, Ido Goldberg. He's a British-Israeli. You sneeze on a Holocaust property, he appears. I saw him in like 3 different things over the course of a week. Because I was just watching, like, I watched The Zookeeper's Wife, which is a bad movie, but I watched it just to do my due diligence, and it is bad. I knew it would be, and it was. And he was in that, and he was one of the better parts of that. And then I was watching Defiance. I rewatched Defiance, because that one I already knew was good, but I was just like rewatching it. And then he shows up in that, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I was watching a 2001 miniseries called Uprising, which is very good, and he's in that. And I just, like, kept finding him in things, and it was starting to become a joke. Like, the scene, he showed up right after a really, really upsetting scene in that Uprising miniseries, and so, like, I went from crying to being like, oh, there's Ido Goldberg! Oh! And that just,
everybody.
Oh, Jesus, Emily!
Why did you come in like...
Emily, why did you come in like fucking Saw? Why are you Jigsaw?
You're a mystery.
The kingdom's not far.
I'm a picture of mystery.
Well,
I say creature. Okay, it makes more sense with creature.
I don't know. I think you're a picture of mystery. But yeah, so that was an interesting video to research and stuff. It was a lot.
Yeah, God, I can only imagine.
It was, yeah.
It's a phenomenal piece, though. Like,
thank you.
Which video is this?
The JoJo one.
The JoJo one. Actually, everybody's
that's
going
my
through
favorite.
their video that they're like most proud of recently. Emily, you haven't gone yet.
Oh, I'm pretty early in my channel, so a lot of the time I look at my channel and sometimes I just think it's all terrible. Why did I do this?
Not true, by the way.
But
Great.
the video I'm probably most proud of is actually not one of my most popular ones. It's my video essay on House, the Japanese horror film.
I really liked that video.
It's very short. It's my shortest video essay because most of them clock in around 20 to 30 minutes, and this one was just 10. And it was really fun to talk about because I feel like a lot of people talk about the influence of like the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the film, but they don't clarify much, and they don't talk about a lot about how the film has a lot to say about death. Like, it's what motivates the plot, it's what causes the main antagonist to basically become the antagonist. All of these features of grief compartmentalize and become part of this film. It's also just a really fun film to talk about because it's just it has this reputation for it's bonkers. It's out of this world, but at the same time, it isn't unintelligent when it's doing it. It's doing it with the purpose, and it wasn't until later that I realized like how much it was maybe influenced by the idea of like how silly it is to even think about death at all. It's how weird and silly it is. Part of that is also because Obayashi is just a very silly director in general. But also, like, I do think there is something profound about that. The idea of you can't really deal with grief because it's a hard concept to wrap your head around. It just doesn't make sense. The idea of this person was here today and they're gone tomorrow. So the idea of this world being completely constructed and silly makes total sense for analyzing that concept.
Deep shit.
Damn.
I'm just messaging
Emily
a couple
Smart.
of people who are currently streaming to bug them to come raid later. So.
Oh, cool.
Damn.
Also, I'm really excited for all the videos I'm making this year because I'm actually going to have someone help me with my acting because I look terrified in every single video I make.
Aww.
Aww. Well, personally, my favorite video that I have made.
That's why I don't
is,
go on camera. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Going on camera is terrifying. But as long as you're talking about favorite videos you've made, my favorite is of my own work. Is 3 a.m. Throw the Ball Bounty Puppy.
Yeah! Oh, your puppy's so good!
I think it really says a lot about capitalism. The spirit of hope.
That dog is a good baby.
I love how early in the stream I had to mute my mic because my dog was just howling up a storm. Just like the kids out, the neighbor kids were probably outside, and that was enough for them. This is time to ruin the entire stream.
Doc Midnight's gonna raid in after.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep bugging all my Twitch friends. Anyway.
Me and Aaron are gonna be part of their charity stream as well.
Yes, Doc's really cool. Doc Midnight is he's a doctor in the U.S. who he was like one of the people who first talked about like the vaccine doses not being given to frontline workers, and he so I have to distract with something, but yeah, he talks about COVID and stuff from a experienced perspective. A bunch of major streamers have actually seen his accreditation. I know for a fact that he's actually who he's. It's just he hides who he really is for privacy reasons and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But he's worked on like major research on vaccines and things. So really cool guy, good friend, and yeah. So I'm just happy gonna help out.
If you guys would indulge me for a minute, Sage, do you mind if I ask you just some nerd questions about your videos?
Sure, yeah.
And the general YouTube process. So, what program do you use to edit your videos?
I use Final Cut.
Ooh, old school.
7 or X?
Yeah, pretty X. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's when I was trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I should probably switch to Premiere at some point, but just the.
Premiere's full of bugs and shit in its own right. It's fine.
It also has the worst
really just for After
description model
Effects,
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Adobe so.
Yep.
Next question: How do you
100%
make your
agree with
thumbnails? Do you paint them yourself, or do you
that's
just use a filter?
That's a trade secret.
Ooh. Okay.
But yeah, I have an app that I put a photo into, and it makes the thumbnail. So I'm a total fraud. I don't paint at all.
Oh, that's.
I'm really good at recognizing AI stuff because I should explain. My degree's in computer science. I work as a software engineer. I specialized in AI and machine learning. So you get used to how that stuff changes or alters images after a while. So it's just funny because as with like a lot of special effects people, like the more you learn about something, the more easily you can notice the problems. That's why I really enjoy watching like shorter digital pieces on special effects, where they break down like what's actually being done. But yeah, AI stuff, it's always like, well, that's AI. You can see it in like certain ways the pixels are doing stuff.
Oh, I figured it was something like that. But
still nice thumbnails. They're pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty
though.
thumbnails. They have a really distinctive style that stands out in the YouTube landscape.
I mean, mine are just purple, blue, and pink. That's it. I just like the colors purple, blue, and pink.
Yeah.
For me, I think you should be able to use whatever tools you want to make an artistic piece, and I think there's no shame in using digital tools that speed that up or do things for you.
Oh yeah, no.
Like, to me, I'm all.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of being kind of joking.
Yeah.
Being a goof.
And yeah.
No, I just want to be clear that I wasn't being
remove
like,
the mystery.
You use AI, you less. Like, no, it's. I actually.
The app is. Oh.
I think
I keep talking over people. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We do this a lot.
We're all in different server zones, right?
We're literally doing it right now.
So there's enough of a lag that it'll feel like if we were in a real conversation, there's space, or that we could talk, and then we'll talk to. It'll appear to each other or one of us that we've talked at the same time, but it's not exactly that, and it's just the annoyance of ping times. So
I also just get really excited and want to talk.
Yeah, I have ADD and we're all very excitable. Sage, what's the same hat? Sage, what's the name of your program you were gonna say?
Yeah, it's called Prisma. It's just it's an app on the phone.
I love the phone. But who was phone?
Man, Cardor, who can?
I would like to see what artists could do if they experiment a little bit more with using AI and machine learning as complementary tool sets into things, because you can do some really cool stuff with it. I mean, we're starting to see little aspects of that, though it's not quite good enough yet for things like face replacements in CGI work. But and there is some really cool stuff with algorithmic generations of like large groupings of like people, for example, on a city street or something, and getting them to behave like real people in an interesting manner. But I think there's interesting applications for it outside of that that you could do some really cool stuff with. But I don't even know what those are. You know, you'd have to try to experiment with applying things in a weird way.
It's already kind of happening. Like there was that trend for a little while where artists would draw line art and put it into a AI that would color it and just see what comes out. And a lot of my artist friends and I had a lot of fun with that.
I mean, like, I think there's cool stuff that you can make with integrating sort of algorithmic artistic stuff with your own input, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like using it as a starting place, and then building it off of that. Yeah.
At the end, or tool sets in the middle, or just like using it in weird, surrealist ways, because you can do some really wild stuff with AI machine learning, especially when you train your algorithms in weird things. AI algorithms, not. I'm gonna do it. AI aren't a thing. You can't have un-AI. Like, literally, the first day of my AI courses, the professor's like, this is a problem. Because you're referring to, like, a zebra as if you were calling it zoology. You wouldn't call a zebra zoology. You know, it's the research topic, not the actual things inside of it. Machine learning refers to a very specific type of algorithm. But, like, most times when people refer to AI, what they're actually talking about is an electronic intelligence or a artificial mind, or an electronic mind, which is basically, electronic intelligence would be something that is surpassed the point where we could basically call it a, you know, being on its own, that is electronic in nature. And then electronic mind would just be a recreation of the human brain, using for the electronic things, and then a artificial mind would be more like Blade Runner, like a recreation of a human brain with similar materials. If that makes sense. Anyway, there's a ton of other things that would fall into the category, but it means that a lot of times when people are saying AI, they're actually obfuscating what they're talking about, and it gets used by people like Elon Musk to confuse the conversation.
Right. Yeah, he does that a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, machine learning on its own, right, has a huge amount of concerns in it, and there's a lot of data ethics that goes into how we should be applying it and using it, and because it can be used in really horrible ways. I mean, a lot of my AI course was just data ethics and discussing that topic. But yeah, there's a problem with the way that a lot of people talk about AI with very little understanding. One, treating it like a lot of these problems are like really far off when they already exist in just algorithmic systems. Like, what you can do with a trained AI right now, see, I'm falling into it because it's used so often. What you can do with a trained AI right now is like art. Instead of, you know, that depixelization thing that was released last year that, you know, means that a bunch of people can go back to old footage and remove people's privacy.
Yeah, it's getting misinformation spreads really easily, especially when it comes to things that people don't understand, and AI definitely seems like it would be one of those situations.
It takes a lot.
It kind of reminds me, actually, Sage, just the other day, didn't you retweet that Glenn Greenwald bullshit about
bullshit? I had a thread on this because
every word in it is
garbage, but also
is totally wrong.
Fundamentally misunderstands like any form of data analysis.
I believe I just tweeted Glenn Greenwald "Shut Up" challenge.
Also, oh god, I hate this bit. It's very fiddly. Anyway, go on. I have to move very slowly around birds.
All of the related variables that he's ignoring. At some point, I'd like to actually like. It would suck because I'd have to look at a bunch of really unpleasant statistics, but go through it. But the gist is, 1 sec. I'm gonna go find the tweet.
While you find it, out of curiosity, Sage, are you part of the Alphabet Mafia, or are you just a cool ally?
What?
People start
calling LGBTQ? the Alphabet Mafia.
Okay.
Oh, there they are.
I'm sorry, Sage. What did you say?
I have the thread. So what I wrote was, the stats showing younger generations are more queer proportionally more queer should not surprise anyone who's aware of the significant amount of violence queer people face and our community's high suicide and murder victim rate. We die young because of systemic problems resulting in a tapering on the statistics of how many of us are alive relative to our age group. You throw on how much harder it was for older generations to come out, and it's blatant that a mix of more societal acceptance and age-to-death ratio is why there are more young queer people. You cannot look at a single variable without contextualizing it with related statistics. Queer mystic bad actors are trying to use this to make it out like we are converting young people, when it's actually them killing queer people that is part of skewing the age grouping. Here are some stats on death rates in queer people from the Trevor Project. Notice how many of the deaths occur before age 25. Of course, Gen Z will have the highest number of queer people right now. We're all under 25. And that's without bringing in the AIDS epidemic's devastation of our older generations. Our oppressors push us to suicide, refuse to help us in an epidemic, and then use the fact that the majority of queer people are young, because the older ones have died, to attack us as if we were predatory, and it is a disgusting display of Darbo, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Don't let them twist the narrative to ignore the fact that we don't have a high number of queer youth, we have a low number of elders because they died too young.
Damn.
See, I really admire someone who can like articulate why something someone else is saying is total garbage.
Yeah, I just shut up.
I saw those Glenn Greenwald tweets and just like saw enough wrong with them that I just fired off the "he doesn't know crap about this" tweet. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have both, and I don't even address Glenn Greenwald there because it wasn't just Glenn; it was like all of these different people
having a time
doing it. Yes, sweet time.
I'm sorry, I'm a child. Continue on your grown-up conversation. I'm just having a good time.
Yeah, so like that entire bit there, all
Goofy
that I'm
said
talking
we.
about. Bad shapes boy goes we. But like that's something that I'm good at, and it's just come from the academic space that I've been in, and the weird amount that I read as a kid, because I read a lot.
Oh, me too. Yeah. My rabbi made me read a lot of queer theory.
Your rabbi, who's the best rabbi ever. We don't need to go down the entire rabbit hole, but Neela's rabbi fucking owns.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I wish I had a rabbi that awesome.
A rabbi to give you gay homework, though.
That is very much a rabbi thing. I just banged my elbow on the desk. But that is, yeah. If your rabbi's gonna be supportive, they're gonna give you homework.
Yeah.
What I mean is just that when people compliment me on articulateness, it's not that I'm necessarily articulate, it's just that I have read and consumed so many pieces of writing that I can make myself sound like a writer. I'm kind of doing it right now. I'm playing up a certain level of like serious conversation tone, right?
Right, but I've also read a lot of queer theory, and I'm not articulating it as well as you can read all you want to, but the ability to articulate what you've read is a different skill that you seem to have. So just accept the compliment.
Accept the compliment, Aranak. I can only be articulate like this with a lot of pre-writing in advance. I can't be articulate off the dome. I need to be scripted.
I'm not just talking
with
about
movies. That's it.
I'm not just talking about queer stuff, because like what I'm saying is like I just read a lot of different writers from a bunch of different periods, and I have a special like interest in linguistics and things. So like my brain is wired weird. There are a couple of things that because of the way that my
we lost Sage for a sec.
Oh no.
Oh, good. I will drag Sage back.
They might have just gotten they might have had an internet hiccup.
I just want to think. But there.
I'll go here.
I'll get him. It's okay. No, never mind.
Oh, Emily's got it. Okay. But it's not just like, oh, I read some queer theory and have that data. It's that I read a lot of just different writing and tried to really understand the structure of and sentence.
And we back.
And
welcome back, Sage.
I can do that because my brain gets obsessed about certain things, and that's all I think about. Like I can't focus.
Also, can we just look at this man really quick? Look at this man.
What's going on?
So
okay,
powerful.
so watch it. So the stream is like maybe 10 to 30 seconds behind you.
Yes.
So I'm just now seeing the man.
No, I know. That's I say it now, and I know that there's gonna be a lag before you can catch up. But you're still gonna see the man, and how powerful he is.
So there might be a way to mitigate this, because then, because it just makes it more confusing for the viewers at home, because it takes us like 30 seconds to comment on what's happening on the screen. If you were to stream it
to do that
via Discord,
the bitrate potentially.
Discord
I don't
might.
think it's worth it.
I don't know.
I don't think it's worth it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering, if the streaming through Discord would be worth the bitrate, but if it's not, then it's cool.
Probably not. My internet's not very good, so I don't want to fuck with that. Oh, here's the minigame that sucks. I hate this minigame.
Oh, you've talked about this.
Yeah, so this is a really shitty minigame, and the worst part is that it's referencing specifically the Kingdom Dance scene from Tangled, which has incredible music, and they decided in their infinite wisdom, even though they're going to, and I'll skip the scene because copyright, but like, they just have all of Let It Go. Like, the entire Let It Go happen. And then they just go, wow, what was that? And yet they don't use the Kingdom Dance theme. Instead, they have this less good song that plays for a really long time, because this minigame goes on for a very long time. So I hope you enjoy looking at Sora do this bop, because it's just gonna go for ages. This fucking minigame sucks.
I love how Sora's like, it's fun, player. You're supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just accentuating how it's not fun.
No.
That's amazing.
That's like the problem with like the first 2/3 of this game is just like a million distractions before it gets to the story.
Well, the problem is that all the Kingdom Hearts games, technically the story never really happens until the last couple of worlds. Like, the Disney worlds never matter. It's just how fun the Disney worlds are to run around in, which I do think is a big missed opportunity in Kingdom Hearts 3, because there are a lot of occasions when it could have been I messed up. It could have been really fun to, like, for instance, in Toy Story, imagine how fun it would have been to actually the entire level takes place in fucking Andy's house. That would have been really cool, like, just to run around Andy's house, because a lot of the appeal, I find, is just, like, running through Disney movies, basically. And so, like, in Frozen, you don't actually ever get to go inside Elsa's castle. You spend a lot of it in an ice maze, or you fall down a mountain a lot.
Aww. In Toy Story, it could have been so much fun. They could have had a gameplay dynamic where if you hear a human coming, like maybe they made it like a controller shake or something with the footsteps, and you have to like kill both the humans around or something.
Yeah, like
like a whole like stealth level.
You know, like an imaginative use of the medium that you're in, and not just like slapping it there for marketing purposes.
Well, and it's just really dumb, because it just feels, some of it is probably Disney interference. Like, for instance, I'm pretty sure the reason we don't get to run around Elsa's palace is because that makes Elsa more of an antagonist. And even though she technically is an antagonist in her own goddamn movie,
well, and it's important to note there's a difference between antagonist and villain, and like they can still have her be the antagonist and not the villain.
Yeah. So, it's really baffling, some of the choices they make, and this game is really poorly explained. I think I'm supposed to get a certain chain of dancing. I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing, but like, So we
this
just
goes
go.
on for a really long time. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, this is gonna go.
Still going
It has different levels to it, and we still haven't even gotten to one of those. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong right now. But yay!
Does someone want to look that up?
If you want, sure.
I have no idea what I'd look up for that, so I'm not gonna do it.
Kingdom Hearts dancing minigame. Tangled. Kingdom of Corona.
Poorly
That's
named.
what the world is called. Well, in fairness.
I know, but it's just bad
They're
timing.
just really big fan of it in Rhythm of the Night, that's it.
Maybe you need to yeet all the ladies. Oh, look, that lady spun Sora. He really is a twink. That's cute.
Oh, I know, right?
I love that. Oh, and he dances with everybody.
Yeah, he does. He dances with men and women.
Aw, good.
Such a little twink.
Though, and that's some gender binary
We
bullshit.
stand a little.
Since we're talking about games, and we have Sage here for a somewhat limited time, and Sage, you play D&D. I've seen you on Twitter. how do you utilize your writing skills as what seems to be a very talented writer with your D&D campaign? Because D&D, right? It's like, do you DM, and if so, how? Because writing a story for D&D as a DM is the hardest thing in the world because you're writing a book without being able to control any of your characters.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliments, first of all. Yeah. So when the pandemic started, I got extremely into D&D, and still am. It's been my pandemic thing. I played a few games of it beforehand, but with the pandemic starting, I was like, I need a thing, like a regular thing, to get my friends together in a virtual way throughout the pandemic. So I just like jumped in to being a dungeon master on 2 different campaigns simultaneously.
Oh my god!
With like with like zero preparation either. So I don't. So I don't homebrew. At least not yet. We play 5th edition, and we did. One of the campaigns was shorter. We're already done. We did the Lost Mines of Phandelver, and then the other campaign that's still going on is Curse of Strahd, which is like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, pre-campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the new version with the changes that they made, or the original?
So I don't have the. When you say the original, do you mean like the 2E version?
And the first version of the edition copy before they got a
gotcha.
Writer in.
Before they, knew who the Romani were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
There's a bad part with the original bit. The module's really good. It's that stuff that's bad. Like, it's just specifically those things, and it comes from the 80s, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I don't have the newer book, but luckily the community around that particular campaign is enormous and extremely active. And if you go on like the subreddit for Curse of Strahd, the community has curated a bunch of different ways to modify the Vistani, who are a group of people who are a fantasy version of the Romani that was done in a very poorly, like in poor taste in the original module, but there's ways where you can make that better. I mean, like in the original module, they are all literally like servants of the devil.
Oh my god!
Yeah, or like the Vampire Lord, who's the bad guy in the campaign. So yeah, don't run it that way. Make them you can make them good characters, and then some of them can serve the vampire. That's fine. But
you can also have like vampires are all about like force control and stuff, and like the movement of autonomy, especially in D&D. They actually have powers on that, and Strahd is like hyper vampire, like more powerful than all the other vampires. So, yeah. So you can just have Strahd be mind controlling people, or using like if you don't do this thing, I'm gonna kill your kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can kill their kids. Like you can write it in an interesting way, and there's a lot of people who've been running it since the 80s like that. Most people altered the original to be more like that because it was just such a like ridiculous issue. But I like D&D. I don't like Wizards of the Coast and a lot of the things that they've done, and that might also
for sure.
be an impact of like I know people involved in that space, and I know that it's just like it's all public. I'm not talking about anything that's private, but just that Wizards of the Coast has a real problem with trying to integrate any form of diversity into their work and writing, and it's really annoying.
Not only that, but the capitalist tendency towards monopoly means that every time there's a smaller, new kind of role-playing game that is more diverse and cool, they just buy it up and then destroy it from within.
Wizards of the Coast hasn't bought a lot of other tabletop RPGs, from what I know.
I'll send you a list later, because we have to get into it now, but it's a lot.
Wow, really? I'm
Yeah.
No, but what I was saying is, I want to be clear, I wasn't disrupting. I was saying, that fucking sucks that I don't even know about it. Like...
Yeah, it's not common knowledge because they don't want it to be.
Yeah, like they dedicated time into not
making their brand basically synonymous with tabletop RPG. Like people, like when people say they want to get into playing tabletop RPGs, they mean D&D because they have, complete cultural.
Yeah, people don't even
they're
say
culturally synonymous.
People don't even say tabletop RPG; they say D&D.
Yeah.
No, and I've been trying to move away from D&D, and I've run D&D for a long time. Like, I first started running D&D First Edition in early high school because my dad had a bunch of the old books. I still have a ton of them. So there's a lot of like really fucking cool, like that weird era of art. I have the original like Fiend folio in a decent quality. There's a bunch of them we could technically sell for like ridiculous money, but yeah. So I like D&D. I just there is a huge aspect of like its focus structurally and gameplay wise is so on like always having fighting as the way that you handle a situation. A ton of other things that unless the DM and players put the time into engaging either with homebrew or sorry.
So, I haven't played 5th edition. I'm still on 3.5 because I don't learn new systems quickly or very well, and I've been playing 3.5 so long that I know it like the back of my hand. And I've found that it's pretty easy to make this not as combat heavy if you just reward your players for using their skills in different settings, which is fully within the mechanics, but there are not a lot of prefab games that do that.
Yeah, so one is ignoring the prefab. I mean, you really have to add in stuff, and like the skill mechanics are limited at best in how you interact with stuff. So I've been playing Stars Without Number.
To get a chain of 100
game. My friend Dan DMs it, and he's fucking awesome. So Stars Without Number is a 2d6 skill system, but like die 20 for attacks and stuff. So like a lot of the combat is similar to D&D, and it has a ton of stuff about like how you build your character that is drastically more about interacting with the world. Like my character has a thing where if I spend 7 days in a place, I build up a like contact network of people that will do favors for me. I can get 1 favor per day, and it can only be mildly illegal. And and the reason that works is that my character is, so we're playing like a weird campaign where it's like, what if a bunch of selfish villainous ding-dongs had to save the universe?
By the way, nice. Sorry, I was at 69. Sorry. Anyway, go on. I'm playing Killian O'Hogan.
By the way, okay, they're saying it's a triangle.
Wait, what?
They're telling you, Chad's telling you.
God damn. Okay, thank you guys.
So hang at the top of the triangle.
So I'm playing Killian O'Hogan. The character is basically so I know I'm Canadian, but I'm like Irish Canadian, and I have a lot of connection to my heritage. And, I made a character based on some people that are actually from my family's history. Anyway, but he is a space CIA agent, basically. Like he's not a good dude. But his morality is basically, I will do anything for the people that I care about, and fuck everyone else. Which is the most anti-me thing that you could be. Like, it's such a weird character to play because it's always just being like, that's not what I would choose, but I'm gonna do it. But it works really well because it's like, yes, he's kind of a villainous person who will like kill, steal, manipulate, do whatever in order to get his goals done, but because the party is his chosen family, he will do anything for them. And then so he infiltrated the space FBI, which is what the party was working for. We're now on the run and not with any of those factions, but it's a whole thing. But it's such a fun character to play and such a weird character to play. The system is so built for like stuff that I built a character that is primary abilities are just being really good at talking and being really good at shooting, and we do way more talking than we ever do shooting.
Yeah,
and it's the best.
Yeah,
and,
I'd say like with D&D, there's not a single pre-written campaign that you're gonna want to run like right out of the box. Like, yeah, you if you want, especially if you want a more role-play heavy experience, I'd say Curse of Strahd is probably the most role-play heavy one that they've made. But even then, like, there's a ton of combats that I was pulling out, yeah, you got to modify it into something that you actually want, or that your players actually want. So.
Well, no, Sage, here's the thing. I have never actually played a prefab game before. All of the games I've played have been, like, either I've made them if I'm DMing, or one of my DM friends made it. So I'm struggling to kind of understand. Like, I imagine a prefab game would feel limiting, right?
The systems of D&D are primarily, like, there's people who are way more knowledgeable about tabletop role-playing game design. The systems of D&D are primarily built around encouraging combat. A lot of your abilities and leveling up and everything are built around combat. And the ability system is fairly simplistic and not particularly built around a role-play focus. And you can make it a super storytelling thing, but when you look at the actual content of the books, the vast majority of it has to do with combat.
I just want to interrupt for a quick sec. I'm gonna go do human things real quick.
Okay, we're gonna keep talking about D&D.
Yeah, keep talking about D&D. I just need to go do some human body things.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So take care of the meat suit.
And also, while we're paused right now, I do want to say that Harker has said that they will be coming in soon. I just want to let everyone know about that.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like, I'd say if you go and look at like some of the games that their systems, the actual like mechanics are more built around encouraging role playing. There's some really interesting stuff out there, and
oh yeah, there's like a bunch of skill challenge stuff that you can patch into the game you're playing.
You can into D&D, but still, like, D&D's focus in character building is not on, and mechanics is not on combat. You can try to make it that way, but like, I would say there are systems out there that are better built around that.
So hold on, Sage, you said that you were DMing, once you DM'd, you started using the prefab games, but when you were playing, did you play homebrew games then, or did you go through prefab games there too?
I had played around like 10-ish sessions in another campaign that was homebrewed.
Okay, so you are familiar. Okay, so what would you say the big differences are then between the homebrew and the prefab, and do you have a preference?
I guess it's a little tough to say because I've spent so much more time in a prefab setting than I have in like in a homebrew context. Like when I was playing that, I really didn't understand anything about D&D. Like I didn't, I was basically just like blindly rolling a die every week that we met. Whereas now I'm like the, I've spent a lot of hours in the last year, like getting caught up on the different systems and the lore and all that stuff. So I'd say like the reason I like the Curse of Strahd specifically as a prefab game is just that it's got incredible atmosphere. So Curse of Strahd is based on classic Gothic horror. There's they've got their vampire, their Frankenstein, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm back.
yeah. So it's and I also think it's hello, welcome back from doing human things.
That's going to be my code for
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Now tell it to me in excruciating detail.
Gross.
I'd say though the combat in D&D is best in a horror setting. which is like another reason why I like this campaign, because like when you're doing it, like every dungeon in a D&D campaign, there is like an element of horror to it because you're walking through a cramped space and then something's going to jump out at you. So, I like doing something where like that already fits in with everything else you're doing in the game.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And I find it really interesting that during the pandemic is when you got really into D&D, because it just makes so much sense. Everything is really bad in the real world. Let's all just go live in unreality for a little while.
Yeah, which is kind of funny that we chose like the worst, worst reality to live in, because it's like worse than Westeros, I guess.
I mean, like, that's the thing of, like, early on in the pandemic, I can't explain why, but I obsessively watched 1917 over and over again. That became my hyperfixation for, I would say, the first couple of months of, like, lockdown. Because, like, it was really sad, but it was also really beautiful, and also extremely far from the current situation. As sad as it was, World War I has very little in common with 2020 pandemic, I mean, and now I have a great affection.
World War I.
What?
Not in the movie, though.
Well, Spanish flu, right? But Spanish flu.
Well, and also that was before World War I, wasn't it? The Spanish flu?
You know what? I'm not good at history or dates, so I'm just gonna blindly accept what you say is fact and not double check.
I'm gonna go double check.
Also, hi, Harker.
G'day.
Trump messed up the time. Like, Trump messed up when it occurred. Yeah, it was it started in 1918, right? So
it was during and after. Oh.
And it probably was actually partially caused by
the wars ended. That was fun.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say the Spanish flu made the war worse, right? It like.
Well,
I mean, it's not touched on at all in 1917, so
it probably has to do with the unsanitary conditions that the soldiers were in, and then the fact that they all then went home after they'd gotten sick and brought it with them to their countries, right?
Yeah,
so I was right.
There's actually a lot of instances of war being connected to major illnesses.
That makes sense. It's still not in the movie, though, which is why 1917 became my weird pandemic comfort food. I can't explain it, but it wasn't in the movie. They do not talk about the Spanish flu at all in the movie. My good running boy does not get sick.
That is in itself one of the interesting things about disease, though, right? Like, there's nothing thrilling or sexy or interesting about the Spanish flu. About people dying of sickness alone and in a bed somewhere, or if they're lucky in a bed somewhere. It's not thrilling like the war, so of course that gets focused on.
Well, and also,
I haven't seen my girlfriend in over a year because she's under extreme quarantine. A year. Last Valentine's Day is when I saw her.
I haven't seen my family in over a year. Like, I haven't seen any relative since December of 2019.
By the way, did you want to pop out?
Oh, Sage, you said you needed to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to tell us something fun that you watched recently before you sign off?
Yeah. I'm obsessed right now with the YouTube channel Cracking the Cryptic. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. They're another
Somebody did based on the gas.
Channel. Yeah, they're a channel that like got really popular when the pandemic started as well. And it's just a very wholesome British man solving Sudokus, and it's the most relaxing way to spend a half hour.
The only way I can fall asleep these days.
Gonna have to check that out.
Oh, really? Yeah. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah, no problem. I just wanted to put a button on a couple of. Neela asked me a couple of questions, so I just wanted to answer them real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So, on like with D&D, you were saying like you know things about writing, so does that help you with D&D? And I'd actually say it's like totally the opposite, where D&D will help make you a better writer. So if you are a writer, go become a DM, because then you get like immediate feedback on what works and what doesn't work.
Oh, it's such a useful
in the
tool.
story.
Such a useful
It's fantastic. And you also asked me if I'm in the Alphabet Mafia. So yeah, the answer is yes. I'm a bee. You can watch my Mulan video.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen your Mulan one yet.
One of us.
I did that thing where I put it in my favorites to watch later because I was too busy to watch it when it came out, and then I just never got around to watching it.
It's so good. I felt so seen.
Thank you so much. You guys have been so complimentary today. I really appreciate it.
Well, you've been a good bit of your time to helping a very cool charity.
It was really nice to meet you, and
Yeah.
and laugh about Ringo Bingo.
Thank you for joining us in the incredible lore that is Ringo Bingo, and have a great day. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Hope good luck with the stream. See.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. It was really fun talking.
Bye bye. All right, now it is just me and Mods. Hello.
Hey.
I
don't want to be sappy, but like Trans Lifeline helped me a lot when I was finding out about my being intersex. They helped me. They got me a lawyer so that they could scare the doctors into giving me my own medical records.
What?
And having a creator like Sage in here supporting trans, it's just very neat for me. I don't
Yeah.
want to be a sap, but yeah.
Yeah. Yay. Hugs for all.
This is less of serious. I was going to say that when Sage was leaving, for some reason, I thought I needed to hang up for a second, and I almost left the call.
Emily, no. We love you. Stay.
It's just like, I gotta go by. I'm always like, okay, bye, hangs up.
What if everybody left at the same time? Everybody goes, okay, bye, and then I'm just alone, me and Nicholas Mouse. Well,
It was always going to happen, Lady Knight.
I mean, listen, Nicholas Mouse haunts my dreams, so it's fine. He's with me always. Harker, are you up on the Ringo Bingo lore? I know you've seen stuff on Twitter and been around in the chat, so I assume you've heard some of it.
Look, all I know is that Ringo Bingo was the first anti-fascist filmmaker, and their response to what's it called? The one that I've deliberately forgotten to remember. The propaganda film was one that actually won the war.
So like Lee, what's her name? Lenny Riefenstahl?
Yeah, that one. His Ringo Bingo's response to Lenny Riefenstahl's work is actually what won the culture war. All the way back then.
Oh, and his seminal work that like. Well, I was gonna say
pizza pie.
No. So his work that was seminal in winning the war was called "Fuck Nazis."
Yeah.
Also, Sage is donated, and that's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Sage.
You are
Very
absolutely
nice meeting
correct,
him.
Drow Lesbian. You are absolutely correct. Ringo Bingo was the founder of Antifa, and to this day remains our Emeritus CEO.
In his memory, because as we know, he did die hang gliding in 99, 2008.
Yeah. He was trying to get the aerial shots, right? Like the aerial shot of
For some reason, he was yelling "fuck you, Y2K" too.
Just enjoying his life hang gliding.
ahead of the curve.
Or behind the curve, we don't know.
An innovator, except when he was an excavator.
Still lives in the hearts and minds of all who believe. If you don't accept me at my Ringo Bingoist, you don't deserve me at my Luigi
Bingoist.
Dear.
I think it's gonna sap all of my film critic cred immediately.
Listen, there are real people who fucking follow me on Twitter who potentially saw me tweet Steven Spielberg can eat my ass. Ringo Bingo till I die.
Yeah, Chaos Twin. Yeah, is a. So this is the funniest thing. Like Twitter, that does.
Oh.
Aaronock, you're breaking up pretty bad.
The tweet that I made about, like, the tweet thread about.
Okay, there you are.
Am I?
Oh, no, not for me. Just
Now you're back. Now you're back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, on that day was the day that I tweeted about the Greenwald bullshit, indirectly just talking about like the issues with the misinterpretation of the data and everything. This very serious thing that blows up. A bunch of people followed me because of that. I'm just like, I realized when I that 7 hours later, I don't think any of them were fucking expecting the Ringo Bingo explosion at 2 a.m.
The Ringo Bingo Hive.
Yeah.
Hashtag Ringo Bingo Hive.
My entire.
We're gonna get it trending.
Yep. Hashtag Ringo Bingo Hive. Get it trending.
Did the stream go down for a second?
Did it?
Back up.
Whoa.
It went.
No, it looks good to me.
That was weird. Anyway.
Looks like okay.
It's all good now.
And Ringo Bingo is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thurman first 100, that's really good.
Also, yeah, I posted in voice text. This was the meme I posted that night, and I think it confused a lot of people because someone responded with, "Yeah, am I supposed to know who Ringo Bingo is?" And I'm like, "Only if you know cinema."
I just want.
Then there was the person who was like, "Am I getting punked?" That poor person.
You were so mean to them. That was so
No, I was trying to say as much shit that sounded fake as possible to try and make it very clear.
I want this to be a thing. I want people to genuinely wonder if he's a real person. Every video essayist on YouTube needs to make mention him casually in one video.
The problem is, I will never be able to commit to the bit. I told them this as we were coming up with the bit. I'm like, I can't. If somebody asks me if Ringo Bingo's real, I'm going to say no.
You're gonna say Ringo Bingo is a legend, which is true, and also not an answer to their question.
Oh my god.
Just for chat, this beautiful meme. If nobody got me, I know Ringo Bingo got me. Can I get an amen? So, amen's in chat.
Wrongest bongus.
Amen's in chat.
We should get
I really like Wrongest bongus.
So Maggie McFish is going to be here later. If we can get her on it, and she can get all the other major, lefty media streamers to do it.
Oh my god.
Oh
my god.
Pete
video
Carlson getting
intimate.
Liz Yellow system.
So my first video is about being non-binary, and it's also my coming out video, and it's a whole thing. And then my second video is my fake documentary on fucking Ringo Bingo. The Chaos Twins. And if that isn't the perfect encapsulation of me,
who you are,
I don't know what is.
You're not. That's so cool. Non-binary people are the most powerful.
Yeah, they made a whole video about being non-binary, and it was really cool. I'm very proud of you, BB.
Yeah.
If you're not binary, the Queen of Hell thinks you're hot, and Ishtar thinks you're magic.
No, we talked about this earlier.
I'm just reiterating for anyone new in chat that non-binary people are magic.
Yeah.
You hear that? We're magic.
It's true.
And didn't you guys once declare that I was the sissy of the group because I'm cis? You said I was your group sissy.
Me, Alice, and Alex, and God, that is confusing because I have two other.
I know,
countries.
Alex, Aaronock, and you, Emily.
What is? But we're all trans except for LK.
Hold on. That raises an interesting philosophical question. Then, am I trans? I was assigned female at birth. I still identify as a woman. That is my gender, but I am intersex.
So it has more to do. It has more to do with the way that society treated you and the way that you were socialized, and less to do with your biology. So, in a hypothetical situation in a different society,
definitions are a social construct.
Exactly. So I would say
that
cis is correct. Yeah, I feel more comfortable saying that myself because
what I was about to say
does,
is it's up to you. It's completely up to you.
Yeah.
I think it paints a clearer image of what my life was like growing up, like realistically. Because if I say like, I'm not cis, I'm intersex, they're like, what? It confuses people. Well, and I didn't even know I was intersex until I was like 30, so I don't get to.
I think it's accurate to say you're cis and you're intersex, and that's not a contradiction in any way. Makes complete sense. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of intersex people, and I would say that most of them define it the way that you're defining it.
You had one in your video.
I actually had several. Moth is also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when I've been interviewing and discussing things with other intersex folk around the world, including IHRA president, whose name escapes me, they were very, very clear about how many intersex people are cis, and also that there's an increased number of non-binary intersex people, which surprises me not at all.
You know, my whole bit is, I will say that I am biologically non-binary.
Hey! I dig it!
It's great,
hey, yeah, because you're not the binary, the arbitrary binary of how society has placed sex characteristics grouping-wise. It's actually a lot more fucking complicated than most people realize it is. But, you know, it's... I mean, a lot of times what people are classified off of is their, you know, down below and nothing else when it comes to determining if they're intersex when they're a baby. And then a lot of times people will find out that they're intersex when they're adults and they attempt to have kids and are sterile because they don't have a specific, you know, sex characteristic that would allow for them to have, you know, sex organs that would function in a way that allows you to have kids, you know? And it's the problem of, like, a lot of people think it's a switch, right? You can click it up and down. Like, if you put in that Y chromosome, it makes the one, there are chromosomal variations. The chromosomes are actually only a singular point of variation within sex characteristics. It's a single sex characteristic. It's a bunch of different variables that are bimodally distributed and are related. They're correlated, but not necessarily dependent on each other. Actually, I don't think any. There may be one or two secondary sex characteristics that are technically dependent, but I can't remember exactly, and it's a whole thing. But
gender is a fuck.
But gender's separate, right? Like,
yes.
So you've got sex, and then gender is.
I know. I just want to say gender.
Yeah, no, I totally get, but that's the thing is that, like, so even, you know, from the perspective of like TERFs and stuff, they don't actually have any understanding of sex, and they don't have any understanding of gender, and so they will use their misinterpretation of both to attack either. So they'll say stuff that would be nominally supportive of intersex people, but then when it comes to intersex people, they're actively, you know, go against them. Like, they'll be against kids getting any sort of puberty blockers or changes or anything like that if they're trans. But then they'll be all for doing that to intersex people to make them more like a binary sexed, which is, again, is a bullshit construct, but, you know, I don't have another term for it, so I'm going to use the term that is socially used. But it really just demonstrates in the way that they are harmful to both intersex and trans people separately and in unique ways both.
To me, it proves that they don't care about gender or the safety of women. They care about presentation compliance.
Well, they care about conformity to societal expectations.
Also, I just want to interrupt a really smart conversation to talk about how Mother Gothel fell out the window, and she's going to turn into a really funky-looking Heartless that has nothing to do with what Mother Gothel looks like.
I'm excited. I'm keen.
Yeah.
I need to tell you the story of the first time I saw Tangled. But we had some really intelligent conversation going on, and
yeah, we did. I just wanted to break up with that and continue Aerodach, please. This is what Mother Gothel looks like now, for reasons. Anyway.
Great.
What?
Love that tail, Queen.
Many questions.
We can't allow her near our pure light now.
Oh god, Marluxia sucks.
Say.
It's a very interesting character design, I'll say that.
Me as an intersex person, I really enjoy stumping TERFs because they'll be like, you know, my girlfriend is trans, and when we were in public together, the occasional TERF would try to tell her she couldn't go into the women's restroom. And I'm like, well, I was assigned female at birth. Can I go into the women's bathroom? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, but I'm intersex. I have a Y chromosome. She's like, well, it's fine. And I was like, okay, so chromosomes don't actually matter, and we can both go in.
Yeah. What also not, though, sometimes just because so actually the first charity stream that I primarily helped with was Interplay. They raised money for Interactive Advocacy, which is an intersex advocate group. Really good work. The first
Kenzie said they're ready to.
Oh, awesome. The first 2 hospitals in the U.S. to ban non-medically necessary surgeries on intersex kids was because of their work. So they're a really, really good organization. And like, some people will try to use intersex people as like a gotcha when it comes to fighting for trans rights, and it really bothers me because it's like, no, intersex people are facing a lot of issues that are unique to them, and that we should be fucking supporting them as our siblings, not fucking using them only as like a political tool. That really bothers me. It really grosses me out when people do that.
Yeah, it's okay for me to use myself as a political tool, but
You're not,
nobody else gets to do it to me.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about like there's a difference between pointing out like TERFs hate intersex and trans people, and we'll try to make both of us conform, and going because of intersex people, TERFs are wrong, and it's like, well, it's not.
Right? No, the joke is that I absolutely do that though. Like, I'm proof that TERFs don't know anything, and I will totally use myself as a political tool. I don't care.
I mean, you're talking about yourself. Like, you're not objectifying yourself. You're just genuinely like, some people use it as an objectification thing, and I'm not a fan. It's not.
It's really, really interesting though, because the solution that proves that TERFs are wrong is not intersex people. Like, TERFs are shitty to intersex people like they are most people. But that trans people exist is the proof that that TERFs are full of shit.
Yeah,
wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, Broad Strokes Plays, for your $10. I don't know when things show up, but I just saw it in chat, so thank you.
I think what you can say is that TERFs are wrong about sex, and intersex people prove that. TERFs are wrong about gender, and transgender people prove that. And that is not objectifying either of us. That is just saying, it's not a fucking debate.
I'm real.
I am here. You can
exist.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think that is absolutely something that should be said. But very clearly to the point of that both intersex and trans people need support, and not to use one to prop up the other, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenzie.
Thank you, Zachary, for the tenor.
Hi, Kenzie.
Hi.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Oh, good. Let me turn up your volume.
Peachy.
We're great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying the whatever is going on in this stream.
Yeah, it's wild.
So many
We've
things.
invented filmmakers, we've discussed D&D, and we've apparently we're trying to...
This is just what the chaos.
I don't know.
I'm trying to beat Mother Gothel, who is a tree heartless. For reasons, you know.
Actually,
Late night playing the ridiculousness that is why am I brain like flat?
Kingdom Hearts.
Right?
With chaos when being on a voice call together is truly too much chaos.
It's a lovely time. I am loving it.
I'm glad. So, Kenzie, can you tell people really quickly what it is that you do on your channel?
Yeah,
And then-
so I talk about... I'm sorry?
No, there was silence for a long moment, and I was afraid that something was going wrong.
No, so I talk about a number of things. The majority of it, the majority of what I do is my pro bono series, where I discuss the U.S. legal system and the problems with it. And so, you know, very fun, lighthearted stuff. But every now and then I'll do something else, like anti-Semitism or why the Matrix is trans.
Yes, I love that video.
I need to see this video.
That was my introduction to you.
That was my first video, and I constantly wish that I'd waited until I was a little bit better at editing before making it, because now I go back and watch it and I'm like, oh, I would have done so much differently.
I don't think anybody should judge a beginning YouTuber for like slightly lower production values. Like, that's the growth, you know? And the message was good. Yeah.
Video stop saying.
So
my first line,
Kenzie, the second last video I put out is why the Matrix is a transgender masterpiece, and somehow in all of my trawling I didn't come across you. Can you tell me in a nutshell why the transgender is a Matrix masterpiece?
Why the Matrix is a transgender masterpiece?
Those are words.
Your word, your point.
Because Neo is clearly an egg.
Yes.
And changes his and is hanging out online under a different name, which he eventually needs to insist to the authorities who are judging him and want to keep him contained within a literal binary. Is not his actual name.
Correct. Yes. Nice.
By the way, I just want to interrupt all of this very good discourse to just let you know that 3 idiots are watching a man die right now. Just going, "Aw," at the window. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I'm like literally Neo, like to a ridiculous degree.
And you voiced Neo on Sophie's stream.
Yes,
it's true.
I did. I also did Agent Smith. If anyone wants me to do
the back and
Your
forth
Agent Smith is very good.
I am very good at Agent Smith. The next, if someone wants me to do it, they have to donate $20. If we get $20, I will do the Agent Smith.
You're doing the good stream thing. You're like,
yeah.
This is part of why I get brought on streams, because I do a lot of really good.
So the thing, Kenzie, that really struck me when I rewatched it for this video is Neo takes the estradiol. And then begins transitioning, steps into the real world.
Also, we just got $20.
Yay!
Wakes up, and they are in an egg. Like, literally in an egg. The visual metaphor is not subtle.
Oh no, Neo is literally reborn in that scene. It is not the narrative once you see it.
Wow, Daphne Day just donated $100.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you. But also, Aranok, we've definitely gotten enough money. Real quick, do some humans are a virus. Go.
Okay, I have to just pull up the scene. I have to make sure I'm at the start of it. Okay, I need to hear.
You need to hear the Stink Man.
I have to go listen to the Stink Man for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Because I haven't done his voice in a couple weeks, and
just refresh your memory of what the Stink Man sounds like. Also, I just really, really love 3 idiots sit there and watch this entire scene play out. Look at them! These goddamn morons!
They're staying in their lane.
Like, they don't do anything when he's dying. Donald, cast heal! Donald, you are a wizard! You can cast cure! Cast cure on the dying man! Nah, they just gotta sit at the window and go, aww. I love Disney movies starring 3 idiots.
It's like Fecal Frisbee said. All of them are like, this ain't my business.
I just need a fade to black at this second. Sorry.
Oh, Aronach, you back?
I'm ready.
Okay, everybody. Aronach's gonna do Agent Smith.
Wait.
Have you ever stood and stared at it, Morpheus? Marveled at its beauty, its genius. Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world, where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through suffering and misery. The perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. Which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization. I say your civilization because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization, which is, of course, what this is all about. Evolution, Morpheus, evolution. Like the dinosaur, look out the window. You had your time. The future is our world, Morpheus. The future is our time. I have to skip a couple pages to get to the next line.
I mean, I think that gave us a really good taster, but that's so good.
Because I have to finish the speech.
You actually should do the Agent Smith voice for one of the comments you have to read.
Oh, that would be fun.
But I'd like to share a revelation that I've had during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species. I've realized that you're not really mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed, and the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There's another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern.
Hey guys, Mickey Mouse is here.
Do you know what it is?
He's wearing a ska outfit, and also Riku looks like a snack. Anyway, go on.
A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of the planet. You are a plague, and we
and turn the whole town
are the
upside
cure.
down to try and find him.
Mickey Mouse is the real virus! Look at Mickey Mouse and his ska-ass outfit! Mickey Mouse loves ska!
Somebody say the door to darkness?
Did somebody say something about the door to darkness?
Is somebody ready to smack a bitch?
Too late.
What? Oh boy!
Yes.
I just enjoy
What is
the
this
visual of these
dialogue?
final.
This dialogue is bad. There are multiple scenes. I'm gonna skip this. There are multiple scenes in Kingdom Hearts where characters just get together and summarize the last 20 games, and people will be like, "This is really weird." I won't skip the incredible scene where Axel utters his own catchphrase as he's saying, "This is a lot to get memorized." Oh, by the way, here's the real Organization 13. Here's the real one. For some reason, some original organization members are also there. Syax is Axel's boyfriend. There's a mysterious hooded figure who we will not reveal until... Oh god, what the No, wait, is that the one whose face sucks? Is that...
I just
Vexen?
need to understand. What
Vexen's face is bad.
Nicholas Mouse wearing?
Ska. He's wearing a ska outfit. Because Tetsuya Nomura had a plaid fetish for Kingdom Hearts 3. That's why.
In terms of things,
That's it.
I'd be happy that he's wearing a shirt at all.
Yeah, honestly, be happy he is wearing a shirt. We have had shirtless Mickey before, and he once lost his shirt for continuity. Vexen, take off your fucking hood and show us your awful face. I'm pretty sure it's Vexen. No, well, Syax is fine, and congrats to Doodle Fox. Syax is the good husband. I mean, we know he is to Axel. Yeah, Vexen, I was right. Look at this! Ugh! looks bad. Hey, Vexen, your face is bad. Vexen is horrifying.